Round 17. Bulldogs and the Kangaroos. Darcy with the broken thumb. Burton has been in instrumental form for the Kangaroos of recent weeks. Has big Spider Burton. Rarely does not get first hand of the ball in the ruck contests. Libba there. Will he be given a role that allows him to accumulate possessions today and have a good game, or will he be employed in a tagging sense? Michael Roberts.
Yes, just a quick change there. Rawlings just raced straight off the ground onto the interchange bench and, yeah, just sat down before the bench.
Stevens and West together there. Darcy jumping early. Out the back door, King. Pushed it out in front. Smith in there. Keeping them honest. Numbers, King. Dynamic move to Stevens on his non-preferred side. Rocker the danger man. Good pickup, wasn't it? Bowled over Libba. I think Libba's been knocked out in his game here today. Pickett takes them on. New bit of turf there, ran too far. But Liberatore is down behind the plate.
Yes, it was Big Sav Rocker that made the body contact there. It's a big body. Let's have a look at this. And if Tony Liberatore is not up on his feet, which he's not right at the moment, you can safely say that he is hurting big time.
Popped it right on the nose.
Not a dream start for Tony Liberatore. The kick from West finds Grant just short of centre wing. Pitches in front of Johnson. Still with control of football. Well done by Archer at ground level. Johnson back into the contest. Plays it pretty well. Loose ball to be won. And the Kangaroos emerge through Watt. Drives towards the 50. Morrell front position takes the mark. Wants to go on his left foot towards an open goal square. Floating kick drifts across to the right-hand side and through for the first score of the afternoon to the Kangaroos, a minor one.
Well, we saw Matthew Knights come off the ground late in the game with the blood rule, and I guess he's a warrior, Tony Liberatore.
I don't know whether we can speak with Doc Larkins. You're within about 3 metres of Tony Liberatore, Doc.
He's bleeding very, very heavily from the nose, and with that hit from Sav Rocker, they're actually manipulating the nose, so you can be damn sure it's broken the way Dr. Zimmerman's working on that. So badly displaced, fractured nose, bleeding, and he's just trying to manipulate it in place.
Get back to us as soon as you can, Doc, whether you'll take further part. What a tragedy for Tony Liberatore in the opening minute of this game. Hunter. Crediuk's hurt behind the play, so the Bulldogs in disarray early with injuries. Burst, Murphy in there as well.
Well, we did suggest that he was going to be one of those hard-fought physical contests, and already the man of the moment off the ground with a broken nose. Stephen Crediuk also very, very sore in the hands of the trainers, but looks like he'll stay on, so big start to this match.
Indeed. Burton, hands, West. Had a little bit of jumper there, Steve-O. It was technically right, I guess.
Brad Johnson effectively playing at centre-half forward, Brian, so the way they bring this ball forward will be very important.
Need to come through with some pace then. West, kick into space here. Here it is.
Yeah.
Johnson has marked. Now, he started wide, Gary. You picked up on it. And it's worked for them.
Well, it has, and it worked because they were able to get that first kick into the middle of the ground, which opened up a side of the oval that Johnson could then work into. As you see there, a lot of space, good ball movement, courage from all concerned. Archer, of course, has picked up Johnson, which is a big matchup.
Brad Johnson will line up directly in front. He's normally pretty good. Distance shouldn't worry him. Kick on the way. Has got it. Bulldogs have got the first goal of the game.
Well, I just wonder, boys, you know, with Liberatore off the ground, whether or not they'd have any effect. And Stephen Crediuk also coming off the ground as well. And he's pretty tough. Well, not pretty tough. He's a very tough character. So they're on the back foot a bit, but they're first up on the board. And Libba on the bench. Will it have any effect, do you think, at this stage or not?
But no doubt, Gary, it'll take a little bit out of their sails because so much has been directed in his focus this week.
So the Western Bulldogs with the first goal of the match through Johnson, his 33rd of the season, but they've got a couple of veterans on the bench with injury, Crediuk and Liberatore. Ball bounced in the middle. West, quick hands. The Bulldogs go forward yet again through Alvey. Johnson get hands on it again, across to McMahon, into the pocket. Brown hard on the lead. Takes the bouncing ball, tries to get away from Makepeace, good chase, regains his footing, kicks towards goal. Shallow might have scored. Looking dangerous going into attack the Western Bulldogs. Their runners getting hold of the football early.
We'll get down to Doc Larkins as well to get an update on Steve Crediuk shortly.
Ball back to the middle. Burton, Dimatina, Stevens, 250 games, brilliant player. Some say one of the best clubmen ever to play football, certainly for the Kangaroos. And Michael Roberts is groundside.
Yes, that interchange with Brady Rawlings off the ground. He's back on for Lee Harding.
See Crediuk there getting some attention from the doctor, Tony Liberatore, Dr. Gary Zimmerman there, and Jake Landsberger doing their best to get the little fella back in action early here. Smith, can he run it down? Robbins there with him. Hargraves, been one of the good youngsters for the Dogs this year. Dimatina, he's run out of partners in Romero and Liberatore. He won't be happy. Murphy, Burse, the youngsters combining. Got rid of the tackle. Handball McMahon. The young Dogs go forward. McMahon's goal with their second.
Well, I feared for life for Shane Burse, I have to say, boys, on that occasion. The handball was given to him, and there's a bloke called Archer who doesn't mind hitting a body. Have a look at this. He just happened to turn the right way. Had he turned left, he mightn't have seen out the goal. In fact, he wouldn't have seen out the goal.
He would have had a road accident, Gary.
He would have been joining Libba, but good start. You mentioned the young players for the Western Bulldogs. Plenty of run. Murphy loose across half-back is always a danger.
So a dream start for the Western Bulldogs. 2 goals in the opening 6 minutes here at Colonial Stadium. Darcy wins the tap. Going through as Clayton left it behind. West wrestles for possession. We'll have another ball up.
Forward setup for the Bulldogs is interesting. They've got 4 players in this goal square with Brad Johnson out and Dimatina out as well.
Spider and Darcy wrestle. Grant left it behind. West at ground level. Slick hands to Darcy. The big man is away. Spots up Dimatina. Gets around Archer. 35 metres and closing. Bends it back. Not far enough. Wasted opportunity. And Paul Dimatina.
Was it ever? David King just paying the price a bit for playing off Paul Dimatina on that occasion.
A bunch and huddle for the Dogs at their forward end, Gary. They're just getting out of the loop far too early. They need to be a little bit more patient there. Scotty West, 5 possessions and 3 clearances already in the game, so he's having a direct influence. Stevens, short ball. Spider needs to get down, did well. Geez, been a good find for the Roos. Colbert dumped. Hope he hasn't hurt his shoulder. Grant, Murphy, Rocker, all involved there. Watt was in amongst it as well. Elvie will get it on the Hawkins wing. Dogs are off here. They're running. They've got plenty of space through the middle, and that's how they like it. Garlic marks. He can play on. GM Syracuse is with him. Handball to Brown in the square. They've kicked 3 straight, the Dogs.
Oh, look, I tell you what, young Robert Murphy. Now, someone in the paper not so long ago likened him to Robert Flower, which I thought was high praise indeed, but you cannot afford to leave him loose. I mean, it's as simple as that. Try and free someone else up if you are the Western Bulldogs, if you're the Kangaroos, but don't leave Murphy with time and space, because he will make you pay every single time, and they are finding far too much room at the moment, the Dogs.
The Bulldogs, a 19-point lead, early stages first quarter in Tony Liberatore's farewell match. He's off the ground through injury, trying desperately to make his way back on. Burton wins the tap to Stevens in his 250th. Pickett knocks it down. Bending down was Rocker. Left it behind. Croft over the footy. Slaps it towards the line. The Bulldogs have the numbers here. Smith buys some time. Spots a man at centre half back. Grant, dangerous to say the least, but he's got the mark. Put some numbers out wide. He spots that now. And the Bulldogs can run through Kingsley Hunter, the former Docker. The hand pass, a little errant. Harrison, left foot chip kick. It's okay, and Johnson's on the end of it. Inside the centre square, Brad Johnson pops it up for Brown on the lead. And Nathan Brown can go back from 45 metres and put through the 4th of the afternoon for the Western Bulldogs. They've started magnificently here this afternoon.
Have they ever, Mark? And this forward line setup is working beautifully. I'm not sure who the forward line coach is down there, whether he's had any input into this, but the room and the space and the delivery has been spot on at the moment. The Kangaroos are struggling.
So Nathan Brown, the left foot kick on its way. He's got his second for the day.
And that's the beauty of having a dangerous forward line, of course, is you've got multiple options when you go forward. Very hard for a defence then to zone off and target or zone in on one particular player. And you see Johnson, now he is going to present major difficulties for Glenn Archer, who gives you a shot at it, and Johnson will present all day long. And then the rest of this side is, well, they're just on song at the moment. It's been a wonderful start.
Of play, the Bulldogs up by 25 points. Liberatore's on the bench with what appears to be a nose break. Crediork has sore ribs, but the Bulldogs march on. Burton, Grant, who started inside the centre square, looks like he's playing as a ruck rover. Archer outmanoeuvred his opponent Johnson. Simpson, a quality player for the Roos, looks to kick it long and direct.
Let's have a look at the setup as this ball comes in, Brian. You'll find his opponent, Matthew Croft, decides to back off from him. You can see there, Croft comes from one side, Rocker from the other. He's a big man, a big body. I don't think you can afford to let him have a jump at it like that.
Rocker kicked 3 last week. Lines up for goal directly in front. We know the distance won't be a problem for this man. He's capable of kicking from 50 and 60 metres out. Comes in, kick on its way. He's also very accurate. It's a goal. The Roos first.
Badly needed, no question about it, and came in a... Well, it's the hardest way to do it, to take a big pack mark like that. They're hard to come by, of course, but that's a really nice jump at it, and Sav Rocker's been a good player. And, well, Matthew Croft will be a fair opponent for him, but you just... At the moment, it's this forward line of the Western Bulldogs that's doing all the damage. And there's the setup. They're starting deep in attack, and they're trying to go man-on-man, the Roos, at the moment, and they can't. It is working beautifully.
So Sav Rocker, 3 goals last week in a winning effort against Port Adelaide. Gets his first, and the Kangaroos first of the day from the restart. Slapped on by Hargrave to half forward. Open space, Sinclair charges at the football. Gets boot to ball. Robbins and McMahon on a collision path. McMahon plays it very well. Keeps the ball in play. He's got a loose man at half forward, Hargrave. He can take it and run to the 50. Drives it to the square. Garlick on his chest takes the mark. Free kick has been given. It'll go to Garlick, I suspect.
Yeah, I think they would have paid the mark or the free kick down the ground. You're right, Mark. Hargraves was flattened after he kicked it by Byron Pickett. And interestingly, Garlick played on there for some reason and kicked it into the goalpost, but the umpire was kind enough to call him back and have another shot.
So the small forwards of the Western Bulldogs are doing the damage in the opening term. And Simon Garlick from point-blank range put through their 5th of the day.
They've taken 4 marks inside 50, the Western Bulldogs. The Kangaroos just the 1, and that was to Sav Rocker in a big pack. Here's the free kick for down the ground. Oh, it's as soft as butter, but it didn't matter because Garlick took the mark anyway, so it was irrelevant. But they have got their hands full. Starting Chris Grant in the centre of the ground, I think, is a terrific move. He's had 4 touches already, taken a couple of marks. Can also push back into the fence and help out back there as well.
Bulldogs doing it nicely at the moment. Burton has got hands on the ball just about every time in the middle. Rawlings to centre half forward. Should have been a free kick there, none. It's all going the Dogs' way. Grant, as Gary mentioned, starting inside the centre square. Hargraves, West, looks likely today, and Johnson is giving them a lot of movement across half forward. What about the effort of Archer? It was brilliant. Dr. Peter Larkin's ground side.
Yeah, Tony Liberatore will take more than a broken nose to keep him away, as you know, Brian. But having a lot of trouble with the bleeding, very badly broken. He'll come back with the usual Liberatore head dressings on. And Steve Crediork with the rib damage was a little bit up distressed for a while. He'll come back any time now.
Tony Liberatore wearing number 10 on his back at the moment because of the change of jumper. Hargrave kicks into the pocket. Sinclair happy to paddle the ball over the line for a boundary throw-in.
Not a good look on such a game, is it? Your last game, and
no, you're wrong, Brian. That is exactly the look that Liv would want to go out on. He's a warrior.
Yeah,
he wants to go out and blood splattered and stained and says, this is how I played 283 games.
Throw in deep in the Bulldogs attacking area. Darcy, a clever tap into open space, but Martin swoops on the loose ball. Gets it to King. Good pressure from Brown. The Bulldogs with a chance through. Bandy back to Brown. Weaves. Chips a pass. Brilliant vision. And West comes out, takes it on his chest. That was superb by Nathan Brown.
This is, dare I say it, champagne football at the moment. It's as precise and crisp delivery going forward as I've seen for a long time, and they were lining up. If it wasn't West, it was Grant. Leading out over the other side was, I think it might have been Johnson was also involved, so Scotty West, he's having a day out at the moment, coming up for possession number 8.
The Bulldogs shooting for their 6th of the quarter. Will it make the distance? Only just. It's through. They've got 6 on the board, the Bulldogs.
6 goals in 15 minutes, if you don't mind. There's a lot of time still left in this game, and Scott West is having a blinder at the moment, and that whole Western Bulldog forward line is working beautifully. Mark, you called it beautifully. It was Nathan Brown who put the pressure on David King to force the turnover, worked its way back into his hands, and well, it just got there, but it's enough, and they're all worth 6 points. So all the points to the Western Bulldogs coaching staff at the moment.
The Western Bulldogs have got an absolute flyer here at Colonial Stadium. Bandy in the middle. Got on the end of it, Daniel Motlop. Handball backward, standing start. King fires, Morrell. Big mark over the top. Digby Morrell.
He was good last week against Port Adelaide, Digby Morrell. He just floated across half forward, kicked 3 goals, and does have a pretty fair pair of hands. He seems to be growing in stature with the more responsibility that he gets.
Total disposals in the game tells the picture, Gary. Dogs 48, Roos 19. They have had all of the ball, the Bulldogs. The Roos really haven't done anything wrong to this stage of the game. Perhaps you could say they haven't won the ball, but Digby Morrell lines up similar to position to Severio Rocker. Kick on its way is offline, just a minor score there. So Digby Morrell has kicked 2 behinds. And the Bulldogs 6-2-38, the Kangaroos 1-2-8. Mark Reddings.
Nathan Brown kicks to himself, sends to the outer side, coming in from the side. No mark taken there by Croft. A chance now for Clayton. Little give intended for Morrell, who was cruising past, missed the target. We've got a throw in, a 30-point margin. Opening quarter, and the emotion of this match has worked in the favour of the Western Bulldogs thus far. Some early concerns for Dennis Fagan as he chews the gum. The throw in. Porter takes clean possession in the end, needs support, taken to ground. Stevens, little give to Colbert, to the top of the square. Motlop had a piece of his opponent's jumper. Murphy should get the free kick, and does.
Good player, Robert Murphy. Stood his ground in that situation there, in the body-to-body.
4 free kicks to 0 in favour of the Bulldogs. The kick finds Hunter just outside the defensive 50. Grant, who's playing a midfield role this afternoon, opposed to Colbert, looks for the free kick. Umpire lets it go. Archer charges through. He's got some men inside. It comes to Porter, off a step, kicks to full forward. Motlop mistimed his leap, going to ground. The Bulldogs under pressure. Croft, Murphy and Harrison. Good pressure by the Kangaroos forwards here. Morrell over the footy. Harrison tries to bowl the ball up, and he does just that. The Kangaroos have just lifted their intensity.
They need to, and they do, because that's why they're such a very good side. But at the moment, every time they go forward, the Dogs, they are dangerous.
30-point lead, the Dogs. Colbert, the 3rd man up. Porter. They do a lot of that, Gary, the 3rd man up and the contested ball around the ground.
They do. I think you might find that Colbert will run on the ball with Chris Grant. Grant's starting to cause them a few problems in the air as well as on the ground. He might just get a run-with roll for the rest of the quarter.
Bandy will do the ruck work. The umpire in charge there, of course, we remember him from last week. Shotgun Ralston. He was very quick on the P, and today he's been told to blow it as little as possible. Burst, short ball. We'll be keeping a close eye on him as the day progresses. Jordan McMahon on his non-preferred right side. Look at that sizzling bullet-like pass to Darcy. He wants to centre the ball. Johnson creating a lot of space across half forward, and it gives players like Gian Siracusa the space to work their stuff. He'll get the free, Gary, you're right. But all that space, make no mistake about it, is being created by Brad Johnson.
Yeah, there's got to be a move from where I sit anyway. Glenn Archer, Brad Johnson, I played on Glenn Archer a lot. That's how old he is. But he does give you a shot at it as Colbert comes to the bench. He will let you lead up to the footy, and that is exactly what Brad Johnson does. And in this side, in the form they're in, their disposal by foot at the moment is so precise, you'll get sliced to ribbons. So I'll be looking for a different matchup, I think, for Brad Johnson.
Daniel G in Syracuse has a tendency to sort of helicopter the ball a little bit left. He's been working very hard on it this year. Let's have a look at this. And that one's off the right side of the boot. And just the minor score. So the Bulldogs going along very nicely. 6-3-39. The Kangaroos are 1-2-8. David King to put the ball back into play.
He's got a man short, Makepeace, inside the defensive 50. The Kangaroos just looking to steady here after that onslaught by the Western Bulldogs. Another short pass finds Martin. Called to play on now. Gian Syracuse up. Quick to spot that. Back to King. Racks up a couple of quick possessions, and Stevens, the milestone man, has it. Still at half-back for the Kangaroos. Smothered by Bandy. Problems now for the Roos. Garlick pops it over the top. Bandy's run on and taken the mark. Tupou had to score. Too loose checking by the Kangaroos. The kick was partially smothered. Gian Syracuse taken down, got the hand pass away. Burst, Dimatina, left foot kick, 35 metres out, drifting across the face. Minor score.
And Brad Johnson rightfully just letting Paul Dimatina know that he was on, in space and free. They just want to make the most of this, the Western Bulldogs. They are dominant, but they haven't done the damage that they could have done.
Two behinds to Paul Dimatina this afternoon.
Roos back into play. David King. A reasonable crowd in here at Colonial today, about 30-odd thousand. Porter. Nice contested mark in the middle. Kicks it to a bit of space. Rocker and Croft. One out. Nice pick-up, Sav. Handball out in front. It's all he could do, and he did it wonderfully well. And he got a bit of the right foot hook on that. And perhaps the direct drop punt would have been the kick of choice there. Just the minor score.
Fair effort. Turning around Matthew Croft, the big fella. One out. Inside 50 tells the story. The Dogs have had 18 touches inside their own 50, and the Roos just 4.
Smith finds Grant. In turn, picks out Dimatina. They've got a loose man on centre wing. Bandy ignores that. Back to Grant. And the skipper getting plenty of touches in this first quarter.
Great move by Terry Wallace, I reckon.
7 disposals, in fact, for Grant. He finds Harrison. Cruising past. Dimatina has a bounce. Delivers to full forward. Gian Syracuse couldn't take the mark. Makepeace at the back recovers and gives it to Archer. In turn, Morrell. And the Kangaroos from right half back can set things up. Stevens takes the mark. Looks for King, who's run on. Watch out. Croft coming in the opposite direction. And David King knew there was a confrontation coming up. Nothing malicious in that. But he held his ground and took a very good mark.
Great effort. Nearly inducted into the 200 club, David King, during the week.
Plays on his customary dash, a couple of bounces, might go for home, 45 metres out, brings it back magnificently. That might lift the Kangaroos.
Sometimes it takes a special individual effort to get a side moving, and that was one of them.
That was a set play there, I reckon.
Oh, yeah,
King
no
knew that Cochrane was getting to a position where he's going to be able to shepherd him, Gary.
No question, Brian, and this is where you've got to know, I guess, your opposition. And on that occasion, look, it was great setup by the Kangaroos, great thinking by Cochrane, and beautifully executed by David King, but just got to be awake and aware of that. Great effort.
The Roos claw one back. 24 minutes in the first quarter. Darcy, Porter, Brown, been lively. Grant in the middle, we've mentioned him. Stevens, Smith on the end of it. Burst now under the pump. Free kick. Cochrane into the back of Smith, and Smith's got it at centre half back. There are players on everywhere, but the kickers let them down on this occasion. Picked up there by Watt, over the head of Rocker. McMahon front and centre nicely. Now Smith with the foot pass. That's better this time. Harrison on half back. Short ball, Johnson leads up. Oh, and Archer's given him a couple to go on with there.
Well, hang on, let's just see.
One to the ear and one to the guts, and 50, and rightly so.
Well, that's what happens. He's such a fierce competitor, Glenn Archer, that Brad Johnson has just come up for... he's taken his 4th go. Let's have a look at this. That's okay.
Fair. That's not.
Well, it's not much, but it's, you know, it's 50. But he gets frustrated.
That's clearly not on, Garrett.
Reportable?
Well, on what we've seen at the tribunal this year, perhaps. Johnson, shocker, off the boot, and Glenn Archer's got his way in the end.
I think what he was intending to do was not what was executed. I think he pulled it.
Yeah, you're probably right. He's just giving him a little tap there, just to let him know, I'm Glenn Archer, you've tailed me up early, and don't do it anymore.
Yep, and he will keep doing it.
Makepeace got it to Clayton, just short of the wing. Porter with hands to it. Garlick in trouble. Got a hand pass away. Darcy, the big man, stands in the tackle. Gets it out to Harrison. The Bulldogs controlling the football very well. McMahon's kick inside the 50. Johnson, little give to West on his left foot. Tight angle. That is a magnificent effort. His second of the afternoon to Scotty West.
Well, he's having a day out, Scott West, an absolute day out, as is Brad Johnson, and they are persisting at the moment with Glenn Archer on Johnson, and that is a dangerous proposition, because how good is Brad Johnson? He is effectively playing centre-half forward. In fact, the move's been made. I think Digby Morrell is the player that's been moved on to Brad Johnson. Good luck, Digby. Just picking up where Glenn Archer has. He gone forward? He's on the bench.
On the phone to Dennis Pagan, his direct opponent Brad Johnson there evolved again. Porter out of the middle. This is the best first quarter ever, or for the season in fact, for the Western Bulldogs. West, McMahon, and here they go again. McMahon lines up, he's already kept one, he's got two, the youngster Jordan McMahon.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's as exciting a first quarter of footy. Mark, I know you watch a lot of footy as well. It's probably as exciting as a quarter of footy I've seen for a long time.
Their midfielders have been absolutely superb, and it's hard to see the Kangaroos getting back into the game after this onslaught.
We watched last week St Kilda bang on 9, I think, in the first term, and Carlton did hit back pretty hard in the second quarter. But gee, the run and the disposal. McMahon, the huge raps on Jordan McMahon. They did send him back for a long stint in the VFL, and now he's back.
Superb start by the Western Bulldogs. An 8-goal first term, and still a couple of minutes remaining. Both ruckmen went to ground. Not a bad decision by the umpire, I guess. Porter camped over the football. Let's go down boundary side to Michael Roberts.
So disgusted with Anthony Stevens with the ease and the Western Bulldogs getting it out of the centre. He just turned around and threw his mouth guard in 10 feet. It went into the ground. Disgusted he was.
The captain not happy. Darcy jumps a little prematurely, allows Porter to get first hands onto it. Croft across to Burst. Alvey floating free, just short of half forward. 65 metres out from goal. Towards the top of the square. Grant couldn't take the mark. Archer. Brief chat on the phone to Dennis Pagan, and then back into his customary position in the back line. He sees it over for a boundary thrown. 17 times the Bulldogs inside their 50. The Roos just 10.
Well, Scotty West, his opponent is Anthony Stevens, not having the greatest 250 at the moment, Steve-O. Grant in the middle, McMahon running off the centre wing. He's just going beautifully.
From the throw-in, Porter going to ground. Mick Martin, fantastic tackle by Johnson. They have come to play this afternoon, the Western Bulldogs, no question about that.
It's the run through the middle that's been so impressive. They are just floating through there. The run off half-back and through the middle. They've got a pretty bright future, this Bulldogs team.
Garlick doing a pretty good job on Simpson there as well. Porter trying to run onto it. Clayton, Teague in amongst it. Darcy, Hargraves, hard at it both sides. Across the half-forward line for the Western Bulldogs. 3 multiple goal kickers in this first quarter, the Dogs. Brown's got 2, West 2, and McMahon 2. And the midfield disposals as well. Not good for the Roos. 56-27. West, the leader of that group for the Dogs. Porter, West in there hard. Steve-O. Look at him trying to set the example for his team. Teague, Clayton close to the boundary line. Bombs it forward. Burst has been paid the mark.
Well, Byron Pickett kicked 6 goals last time they played against the Western Bulldogs. Shane Burse is his opponent and has kept him possessionless today.
Michael Roberts in the action there, handing the ball back to Burse as the Dogs transfer play, and they do it fluently. Harrison involved. Grant, the finisher. His foot skills in the midfield, brilliant. Dimatina got a lot of space. Murphy has run all the way from down back and marked deep in the pocket with 10 seconds remaining.
Glenn Archer came back on the ground to play loose across half-back. His player up the other end of the ground is Robert Murphy. Murphy's taken the opportunity, seized on the opportunity to run forward at the right time. Archer wasn't able to pick him up. This has been a stunning quarter of football from the Bulldogs, and you wouldn't be surprised, given the way that this game's unfolded, that this goal is slotted through as well. He is a super skilled footballer.
Indeed he is. And he'll line up for goal. The siren has sounded. 37-point advantage at the moment for the Western Bulldogs. But an opportunity here for Robert Murphy to make that 43 points at quarter time. In he comes, close to the boundary line. Kick on its way. Might have just dragged it across the face. And just the minor score. So a 38-point lead to the Western Bulldogs at quarter time. You can hear the warm applause. There is Tony Liberatore, knocked out, broken nose in the first minute of the game. But he'll be back on in the second quarter, I'm sure. The Western Bulldogs lead it at quarter time, 8-5-53 to the Kangaroos, 2-3-15. 38-point quarter-time lead to the Western Bulldogs. Second quarter action starting. Porter, West had a brilliant first quarter, and keep in mind the Dogs' second quarter all year has been their best quarter. They've won 11 of their 16 second quarters. The Roos just 8 of their 16. Darcy working hard. Grant has been in the middle all game so far. The dish off out the back door. Sees that man find Hargrave. Couldn't quite get there. Through came Digby, Morrell, Simpson, Cochrane. Back in to look after Stevens of Port Adelaide last week and grasped his chance, played well, and here he is today. Stevens sends him inside 50. Croft getting on the end.
But a couple of Bulldogs inside the centre square. Darcy is one of them. Can't get a handle on it. Porter puts pressure on. Well done by the big fellow. Got it to Pickett. Slung in the tackle. Umpire almost blew the whistle. The Kangaroos might get out of this. Comes to Robbins from centre half forward into the pocket. Petrie's up. Couldn't take it. Ground level. What? The Shepherd off the ground. Petrie rubbles through it. That's a goal for the Kangaroos. The big man did the job.
Nice bit of improvisation from big Drew Petrie there. They've come in with 3 tools, the Kangaroos, Petrie, Porter, and also Matthew Burton. Look, the simple fact of the matter is they got smashed through the middle of the ground in the first quarter, and it always is going to make it difficult for your defence. They've got to start winning some midfield footy, some 50-50 contests. Stevens has got to get busy, as does Robbins and King, and try to give their forwards some opportunities, and that's just the start that the Kangaroos were looking for.
To a 32-point margin in favour of the Western Bulldogs, but importantly for the Kangaroos, they get the first goal of the second quarter. Darcy and Porter. Porter's done well. Gets it across to Simpson. Left boot to half forward, and Clayton leads Smith to the football. Quick to play on the Kangaroos with a spring in their step towards full forward through the hands of Croft. Getting back, Grant needs support. Goes to ground. Over the football now, Stevens tries to slap it clear. Sab on the boot, across the face, and he's missed the lot.
Thought Chris Grant may have been tripped, but wasn't to be paid. Let's have a look at this. Just about there.
I told you, shotgun Ralston today. He's been told not to blow the P, Gary. And there's a good example. Hunter flew early. Darcy over the back. Thumb doesn't appear to be worrying him all that much today. West working off half-back nicely. Fired the handball. Smith. They're away the Dogs. They love the free-flowing football through the midfield. Dimatina was important in the first quarter. Kick across the face. Johnson again. Well, they've got to do something, Gary.
Well, they did. They put Morrell on him for a short moment, and then David Teague had him for the last 5 minutes. But coming out after the quarter-time break, it is Glenn Archer once again.
Brad Johnson, this will test his limits. Right on the 50-metre line is about his limit. Offline, minor score there. Michael Roberts, boundary side.
In that first quarter, the Kangaroos used the interchange 10 to the Bulldogs 2, only for those 2 injuries. It was interesting when Lee Colbert walked off from the first quarter huddle. He said, what position was I playing in? He's suffering from concussion.
Not good news. Makepeace kicked straight down the middle. The Bulldogs get numbers around the football liver. His first kick inside the 50. Sends it very wide for Gian Siracusa. Makepeace corrals him over the line. We're going to throw in.
Fair to say Lee Colbert was confused out there with the concussion. That man there, nothing will stop him, Tony Liberatore.
Adam Simpson getting busy in the second quarter. 4 possessions already in this term. Martin. Garlic there as well. Dimittina, left foot snap round his body. Brown is there. He takes a spectacular mark. Nathan Brown had been put on a very tight angle here, but he's a dangerous forward.
He's been in exciting form, Gary, the last few weeks. He's a very talented player deep. He can play in the midfield, and he's one of those players that I reckon is the barometer of the team.
Yeah. The beauty that the Bulldogs have got, they've got players like Johnson and Smith can do it, as can Brown. Play in the midfield, but go forward and kick big bags.
Tight angle, but Nathan Brown slots through his third.
Aren't they 2 wonderful players, Nathan Brown and Brad Johnson? Have a look at those 2 guys there, and what's that old theory? That you don't have to be the tallest footballer in the world to be able to play full forward or centre-half forward, as long as you get the match-up right. And these 2 guys prove it week in and week out, and Kerry Wallace coaches that way. He plays to his strengths, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Put them guys, put your best players in the heart of the action and let them do the work.
39-point Bulldog lead. 5 minutes into the second quarter. Horder. Robbins. Cochrane waiting back. Had to retreat slightly. Did it well. Simpson was there waiting. Long driving ball. The ruse, Croft flew, couldn't hold. Smith at ground level, almost threw it out. Either that or it was an incredibly good handball. Grant receives, and he's got the player on downfield, Dimittina. Darcy says, come on, keep bouncing it along. He does. 3 bounces, Dimittina. Darcy, strong shepherd off the ball on Pickett. Centering kick to the danger zone, Bandy. Got a hand to it, couldn't claw it, Robbins. Front and centre nicely. Distributed the ball out wide to Makepeace.
Makepeace up the middle, good vision, finds Rawlings. They've got some numbers now, the Kangaroos. Comes from Teague, off to Simpson, busy in this second quarter. Hard on the lead. Watt couldn't mark Petrie. And Castle's a rover for the time being. Hand pass was errant. Luckily, Rawlings cleans up towards full forward. Sav's there, couldn't quite get hands to it. Waving fringe, taking his opponent high. And a free kick to the Western Bulldogs.
Doing very well back there is Matthew Croft on Sav Rocker, and Rowan Smith also getting back and supporting, as is Chris Grant, who is giving Adam Simpson a bit of a tough time at the moment.
7 free kicks to 0 in favour of the Western Bulldogs. That's not great delivery from Smith. It beats Harrison over. We've got a throw in.
Great philosophy to put someone like Grant onto Simpson. Simpson's had a fantastic year. Always is going to get plenty of the footy. Play someone on him that's going to hurt him the other way. I think it's working really well.
Always surprises Terry Wallace. You never quite know, as an opposition, what you're going to get. Stevens should have got a free kick there. Nothing coming. Liberatore right on top of him. Tony Liberatore and Anthony Stevens, 2 players that have serviced their clubs incredibly well. Darcy. Porter won it down. Simpson didn't have it. This time they've worked the free kick. The advantage will be played. Robbins takes it out of the contested ball. Ordinary kick, but found its target. And it couldn't be in better hands than Severio Rocca.
Yes, luck's a fortune on that occasion, Brian. It was an ordinary kick, and Sav just happened to be in the right spot, and that is front spot. And distance is absolutely no problem for the big fellow from here. He has already got 1 goal in the first quarter. He's been in good form for the Kangaroos. And you'd suspect, 39 points down, that he would need to kick a bag of 6 or more if there are any sort of chance this afternoon.
He has looked lively and dangerous in this game when it's been down there, Gary, so that is a distinct possibility from right on the red line. He just was a little bit early on the kick, and just the minor result there for Severio Rocca. 1 goal, 2 today for Big Sav.
Kangaroos desperately trying to claw their way back into this match after an 8-goal first term by the Western Bulldogs. Smith brings it in dangerously. Simpson opposed to Harrison at the spill. McMahon with plenty of poise puts it into the path of Dimatina. Awkward bounce. Taking the tackle. Cochran not rewarded. Morrell over it now. He's got a problem, surrounded by Harrison. And the umpire calls for it.
Paul Dimatina having a fair day in farewelling one of his great mates, of course. With quite a bit of the footy, 10 possessions, 5 marks.
Porter been pretty good in this quarter as well. Across to Stevens, lobs it inside the 50. Well, good mark taken by Petrie. In a packed situation, he's been busy as well. Drew Petrie. The distance here, I guess, could trouble him. But a tall forward line for the Kangaroos. And Drew Petrie with the chance to put through his second for the day. The Kangaroos desperately need a goal. They trail by 38 points. And that's what confronts Drew Petrie. A shoot from just outside the 50. Right foot drop punt. Starts right. Stays right. But the mark's taken. Is it on the line by Sav? It is. He wants to play on. He'll have to come back. Trying to sneak around there, but Sav now will be put on a very tight angle, you suspect.
He will. He's got to think this one through. Inside 50s 8, the Kangaroos this quarter. The Western Bulldogs just 3. So there has been a bit of a momentum shift.
But the time on whistle was very early there. I reckon you've got to give the player who's marked the ball an opportunity to play on if he wants.
Yep.
If he doesn't, then you take him back around the angle.
It's a good point, Brian. Let's have a look at the mark here in a big contested situation. Well, they need to do better than that, the Dogs, no doubt about it. Had to get the ball through. Sav just taking his time here. What will he do, Brian? Banana kick.
Well,
Left foot, run out, screw it back.
I think you run around the left.
You do?
Yep.
It's a big Sav. He's hit 36 goals this season. He does go on his left and makes a pretty good fist of it. Kicks the goal, he's second. The Kangaroos keep coming.
They have had a fair bit of the footy this quarter, Mark. And it is a Kangaroos trait that they don't roll over. They continue to come, and, well, I reckon too else to be filthy about that. Daniel Bandy had to do better than that. Got himself into a bad position as the ruckman. You need to make sure that you get involved in the contest, and they will come. It's 32 disposals this quarter to the Dogs 20, so they are dominating possession at the minute.
32-point Bulldog lead. Rocker has 2, and they are edging their way back into the game, the Roos. Of the last 6 goals, it's 3 goals apiece. So they're starting to break even. Stevens got it forward, punch away. Hunter. Croft. Lucky the Dogs there. Croft finds space, and this man has found a lot of it in the game so far. Kick not so good off the boot. Garlic had made good ground. Tries to control it, hard at it and under. Could have also almost earned himself a free kick as well, but not inside the attacking 50. Umpires, no.
Gary, they're getting some numbers, aren't they, forward of the ball?
They are. They're taking a risk at times, Mark, but I think when your side are dominating as much as they are, and you have a look at these inside 50s, it's a tale of 2 different quarters, of course, but you can take calculated risks.
McMahon hacks it out of the air. Hargrave at the 50, around his body. Darcy gets back, and the big man, broken thumb and all, has taken a very good mark.
Well, Brian, you made a point earlier in this quarter. You didn't think that it was affecting Luke Darcy too much. I just beg to differ on a couple of occasions. I thought he fumbled footies that he probably normally wouldn't. It hasn't been noticeable in a big way, but just a little bit unsure. It would be. It's broken fingers are a nice thing, but I thought rather that was a good mark. Luke
Darcy, leading candidate for the Brownlow medal, has no trouble from 10 metres out, putting home a goal for the Western Bulldogs. A 10th of the afternoon.
Well, I've got to say that Paul Dimatina is the player for me. And I know Scott West has been wonderful and had a heap of the footy, 13 touches, and Chris Grant as well in the middle of the ground. But Dimatina staggers me how much space he's been able to find, and it's David King, his direct opponent, who is conceding him that room. So He'll just have to tighten up on the likes of Dimartino, but someone else bobs up.
A 38-point lead to the Western Bulldogs after the Darcy goal. Porter, Robbins, upended. Grant trying to fend off the Byron Pickett tackle. In and under. Ball came out the back door. Liberatore's involved there. And Michael Roberts groundside.
The reason why David King is struggling on Dimartino, when he kicked that goal in the first quarter, he got a knock, a heavy knock down his right side, so he's suffering from a cork in the in the calf region.
Porter, Robbins, who has been okay. Pickett, Petrie, handball. Cochrane working hard, shoveled it out nicely. Roberts on to Clayton, 50 metres out. Clayton lets fly, just offline. The minor score only for the Kangaroos.
Well, he has got a bad hobble up, David King, but again conceding room to Paul Dimartino on this side of the ground.
Smith goes to Brown. Interesting last week.
If you can't go with him, Gary, you take him off.
Absolutely.
The Kangaroos played in blustery conditions at Optus Oval this afternoon under the roof. That kick by Brown isn't good. Chopped off by Porter. He's got 2 loose men inside the 50. Grant tries to get back to put on pressure. Going to ground, Clayton. And Chris Grant is late, to say the least.
Well, it was no good. You can remonstrate all you like. I mean, that had no intent. That was just clumsy. Shane Clayton can remonstrate as well. Had to be 50. Oh, hey, yeah, no. Has to be 50. I mean, no doubt that it has to be 50, but it was just untidy. And why umpire Stephen McBurney didn't play it would be one of those questions you'd like to ask them after the game. But nevertheless, an AFL player should kick a goal from here.
Shane Clayton from about 35 metres out, directly in front, kicking for the Kangaroos' 5th, and he makes no mistake. An important goal.
Costly turnover from Nathan Brown on his right boot, in which Porter marked the footy, and there it is, and that's just not a tidy piece of play from Chris Grant. And it should have been a 50-metre penalty, which would have made it an absolute certainty. But as it was, Clayton was good enough to kick the goal. So the Kangaroos just hanging in there at the moment. They have kicked 3 goals to 2 this quarter, but they're getting plenty of the footy and winning the footy out of the middle, importantly.
31-point Bulldog advantage, and I think that the Roos have drawn even in the contested ball, Gary, and they may be just starting to edge ahead a little. They've kicked 3 goals to the Bulldogs, 2 in this second quarter, so they've, to a certain degree, stopped the rot, I guess. Porter doing well. Scrappy ball in the middle. We'll have another ball up. 16 minutes in the second quarter.
The Kangaroos have thrown an extra man down into their defence just to plug up those holes. Terry Wallace has sent another man with them, so they've got a 7-man forward line at the moment, the Bulldogs, and they can't quite find the room they had.
Bandy to Brown. Brown with space. Handball over the top. Back to McMahon. Little left foot kick to the lead of Johnson, and he's marked. Liberatore will come from the ground. Elvey will come on.
Just as I say that, they do find a little bit of room for Brad Johnson, who might just be having his 3rd opponent for the afternoon in Makepeace.
Just the 1 goal for Brad Johnson so far, but he's caused havoc across half forward. He comes in, kick on its way, he's got 2, and the Dogs lead it by 37.
Well, Brad Johnson has caused headaches all afternoon. You are absolutely right, Brian, and we just saw Tony Liberatore come from the ground. As we have a look at this again, it's just well worked. I wasn't sure about this handball from Nathan Brown. You don't usually handle someone with their back to the goals, but their quick hands are good enough. But I've been impressed with Jordan McMahon today. He's been very lively and composed, and that's a nice finish from Bradley Johnson.
It's been goal for goal in their second term, 3 apiece. The Western Bulldogs retain control of the match. Porter, over the football is Simpson. Porter does pretty well. Hand pass into the path of Pickett, who's been quiet so far today. Drives a long ball towards Riker. He's got the sit, and Big Sav with the height advantage against Matthew Croft. knew where the football was, and Croft didn't.
Well, that is he shapes as an important player, Sav Rocker. He looks to be in pretty good touch, Brian.
He does indeed, and Matthew Croft there, I said a couple of times during the call, Mark and Gary, that I just felt that Rocker looks very, very dangerous up there, and perhaps Croft a little undersized. He's a tireless worker and he's a real pro, Matthew Croft, but Rocker just looks a little too big.
Regulation kick for Sav Rocker from 30 metres out, directly in front. And yet again, the Kangaroos respond.
And the turnaround in this game has been in the middle of the ground, and in particular their centre clearances. Right now it sits at the Kangaroos 5, the Dogs 0, and that is a significant turnaround. And what it does is it gives blokes like Sav Rocker the opportunity to compete one out, and that's all he asks really. He's in good form, he's marking cleanly and kicking pretty truly, so their form through the middle of the ground has picked up markedly, and that gives them a chance. They remain in the contest.
Exciting game we have got. Second quarter is a lot closer than the first, and it sees the Roos starting to mount a challenge. Kick forward by Cochrane. Dogs in numbers at half-back. Dimatina races back into the corridor. Smith normally uses the ball well. Darcy, little left foot kick. Johnson on the lead again, finds space. Harrison, Johnson. West has been dangerous when he's got forward. This time just the minor score.
David King has to come from the ground. For mine, boys, I've just watched him closely on Dimatina, and he cannot get out of a trot. Just on Tony Liberatore, I want to go down to Dr. Lark as the next stopping play. I just want to see what sort of effect that would have on his breathing with all that bandaging around his nose.
David T brings the ball out for the Kangaroos. How will the umpire judge this? He allows the mark to stand. Robbins, a quizzical look to the man in white. Kangaroo supporters not all that happy with the way the officiating has been conducted this afternoon. Switch of play, finds Johnson, 65 out, drives towards the top of the square. Grant coming from 3 deep, off hands. Spectacular by Archer, left it behind. Gian Siracusa, off to Brown, snap round his body. He's got 4.
Take them on the lead, Nathan Brown. He can take them in the pack in a big contested situation. He also can read a footy off a pack beautifully, and on this occasion got to the exact right spot for a crummer. Although it came in the most unconventional way with a big backward flip from Glenn Archer, but that's a nice finish. They got their hands full. They just cannot cover Johnson and Grant down there at the moment, and they've tried most combinations.
Surely the Archer flip in mid-air would have won him a medal at the Commonwealth Games. Simpson. Rowan Smith. Head ripped off, but the advantage is on. And McMahon, recruited straight out of schoolboy football. Johnson on the lead. There's a box on behind the play. We'll stay with the footy. There's a bit of it. Colbert's involved.
This may constitute a medal, I would suggest.
And I tell you what,
there's a bit going on. Someone's upset someone out there.
Mitch Hahn and Stevens departing the scene there.
Smith and Colbert it was, the two that started it.
Gundry thrown on the Hawkins wing. Darcy. Sam Powers, first touch in league football. There it was. The handball, effective it was, to Mitch Hahn. Centre wing, the Dogs. The Kangaroos are coming. Hahn waits for something to provide downfield. Sloppy kick. Ends in the hands of Makepeace. Across halfback.
38 points is the margin in favour of the Bulldogs. Makepeace pops it over the top to Clayton. He's kicked 1 goal this afternoon. A lot of players forward of this ball. Somehow finding space on centre wing is Stevens. Comes inside, left foot kick to half forward. Back sets, Darcy got hands to it. Porter tries to flip it out. Hunter robbed of it. Robbins, here's a chance. Mickey Martin from 50 metres. Unconventional kick, but a terrific result. Petrie's on the end of it.
Good pass from there.
He'll claim it, don't worry about that.
The opposition aren't aware of Mick's kicking capabilities, Mark. Kingsley Hunter saw that Mick was shaping to barrel a torpedo. He started hitting the goals, and Drew Petrie knew it was going to drop short, and he marked it.
And Drew Petrie been quite lively in this match so far, but a 38-point deficit. The Kangaroos can't afford to trade goals at this stage.
Just need to string a few together, you're right. And, well, Drew Petrie has been good for the Kangaroos.
They just haven't kicked consecutive goals in this game at any stage today, the Roos, and they need, as Gary said, to string a few together.
So Drew Petrie lining up for just his 6th career goal. Under the roof. No variables to contend with. Drop punt. He's through the middle. The Kangaroos get another.
He's got indigning morale, and Drew Petrie. I guess there's a couple of options for Dennis Pagan and his coaching staff. A couple of guys who are capable of winning the footy. And he's got good hands and good awareness, and some athleticism about him as well. So if he can hold down the key post, it gives them plenty of opportunities to cause some problems.
Bulldogs by 32 points. Doc Larkins, Tony Liberatore.
Yeah, 2 blocked nostrils anyway, Brian, before they put the padding up there because of all the bleeding, so he wouldn't be able to breathe properly through the nose. No doubt it restricts him, but of course wouldn't be Libba without some bandaging like that on him, would it?
No, indeed it wouldn't. King works nicely across half-court, moving pretty freely there.
He runs with a footy, all right.
Pickett, what are you saying, Gary? Be up front.
Well, I'll get to it in a minute.
Petrie, giving them life, as Mark Redding said. Simpson goes forward. Rocker had the good body position. The umpire adjudged it as a pretty even wrestle, and Smith will find West wide. Gathers the ball. He's been corralled onto the boundary line, and he did it beautifully in the end on his preferred side. Kept it in play and then got it over the line.
Well, I watched him closely. He had a bad hobble up, but it mustn't be a muscle injury. It must be just, a knock that, restricts you as you run, but doesn't, no danger of actually tearing it. So that is good news from that point of view.
Bandy and Porter. Porter working hard for the front spot, to no avail that time because the ball went over the top. Stevens, gee, he's desperate, this guy. He really has a crack. Look at him work in and under in a situation that a lot of footballers don't like to get into. He has been absolutely fantastic for the Kangaroos in his 250-game career.
The Roos in his milestone match need a spark nearing half-time. And the restart comes to McMahon, and he puts it into the second level almost.
First real mistake for Jordan McMahon. He's had 11 disposals today. He's just going to come and sit out the last bit of this quarter as Robert Murphy comes back on. But he's the future of the Bulldogs, the likes of McMahon, and I think he's had a really good afternoon.
Shane Clayton kicks down the line. Big Pat will set here. Rocker and Hunter among the flyers at the spill. Robbins cross to Rawlings, puts Colbert under enormous pressure. Hargrave wraps him up. Colbert flips it out the back. Rawlings under pressure from Hahn, manages to get boots a ball. Big Sav lays off a hand pass. Dimartina, hard football to be won here. He emerges onto the boot. Simpson traps it well. Some physical stuff in that contest, and the umpire has let it all go.
Oh, that's great, isn't it?
I think that was Lee Colbert heading for Mitchell Hahn, which had its origins about 5 minutes ago in the middle of the ground, and he just missed.
Both hard at it.
They are both hard at it. Look at this. Just a shepherd. Ben Robbins has been good this quarter. Had 10 touches, 4 clearances.
As we expected, plenty of feeling in this match. Bandy hooks it behind, only as far as Robbins. Floats a hand pass. Oh, Grant collected by Byron, who came through searching for the skipper, and he found him. This game is lifted in intensity. Dimartina slung, holding the footy. The Kangaroos get hold of it.
What a big hit from Byron Pickett. That's his trademark.
Porter to full forward. Can the Roos get a late goal? Colbert, was he taken to ground? No. Burst is there. Going to ground, Cochrane will have a bounce 40 metres out from the Kangaroos goal, and Chris Grant showing terrific courage, gets to his feet and goes back to the contest. But that was typical Byron Pickett.
That is just great AFL footy, boys. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that.
And Chris Grant gets back up after just taking breath for a moment and joins the fray again. Beautiful football from both Pickett in the original bump and then Grant to get back into it. Let's have another look at it.
That's why he's a champion, Chris Grant. I mean, his first reaction here is to get up quick, don't show that you're hurt, and then he just shrugged it off and wandered back to the contest.
Alvey had intentions only for the boundary line and did it well in the end. When in doubt, always head in that direction. Credial got a knock in the first quarter, not long after the Liberatore knock, and appeared to have problems with the ribs, but he looks like he's ready to come back on. Gian Syracuse is taking his spell there as well, as we see Jordan McMahon, who has also been instrumental, having a bit of a breather. It's nothing they've done wrong. It's midfielders and the way they rotate them. Martin crossed the body, got it to the face of goal. Rocker. Croft helped it over. Boundary throw in deep in the attacking 50 for the Roos.
They've had plenty more scoring opportunities this quarter, the Kangaroos. As you can see, they've been inside 50 on 14 occasions this quarter. Only 8 to the Western Bulldogs, so it has evened itself out.
12-7-79, the Bulldogs. The Kangaroos are 7-5-47. We've played 29 minutes in this second quarter. Murphy found a bit of space on Rawlings and Marks nicely overhead. Now, the forward line has a lot of space about it at the moment as Murphy goes looking for Garlick on the lead. Did wonderfully well, Teague, there, didn't he? In frightful position as a defender, finding himself just one out.
Comes across the face of goals to make peace. Runs his full measure, puts it on the ground. Nick Martin tries to provide a shepherd. The kick just forward of centre wing through the hands of Darcy. Smith across to Grant. He's recovered pretty well from that heavy knock. Hargrave. Nearing half-time. The Kangaroos with a chance here. Clayton, Archer can take it and run. The 96 Norm Smith medalist. Wasted opportunity there. Metres in the clear. And perhaps the last chance for the Kangaroos to score a goal in this first half.
It would have been beautiful with 20-odd seconds on the clock. That one there will be sadly missed.
So the Bulldogs just need to be tidy, and Dimatina says perhaps I'm not the man to kick this ball in after all with a few seconds remaining, so let's give it to one of our best, Rowan Smith. He can hit the target shorter, he can go long, Rowan Smith. He'll know that the quarter's winding down. And he goes short to a contested ball, which is not the ideal situation. West, all he can do is get the handball out. Cochrane. So there are a chance here, the Roos. 10 seconds remaining in the game. Burst. Marks in the back pocket.
Paul Dimatina said, give me the footy back after that kicking.
Oh, Burst has kicked across the face. I thought he was going to kick it into the behind post there for a moment. And from a youngster, that's not the time to be kicking.
Oh, Byron Pickett
situation.
Getting involved with Alvey.
Byron's had his angry pills.
Wallace, Terry Wallace, the coach, just a few metres away from this incident. The umpires are in there. There's some real feeling in this game. Let's not forget Anthony Stevens, 250th. Livers last the game. All players have got that on their mind. The separating of sides has now taken place. Wallace, out there as quick as a flash, will gather his troops and get them into the rooms. Anthony Stevens, there's Terry Wallace, and the tribe standing by for some instructions before they leave the arena. And what a great quarter and a great half of football we have seen. It is the Western Bulldogs by 32 points, 12-7-79. The Kangaroos 7-6-48. In fact, that is 31 points, the margin in favour of the Western Bulldogs. Starting the second half, it's the Bulldogs by 31 points. They led by 38 at quarter time. Start of the third quarter, they're 31 points in front. Can the Kangaroos get something going in this second half? We'll wait and see as Smith marks just on the back of the square. Every player for the Roos forward of the ball there. Archer over the back of Murphy, kept his feet well, Murphy. Handball to McMahon, Hargrave, bang, Sinclair. Bandy, still inside forward 50 for the Dogs. McMahon working hard, Bandy paddles it out in front of Burst, put his head over the ball. Stevens, the tackler, will have a ball up forward 50 for the Dogs.
Nice physical start from the Kangaroos. Similar forward setup for the Western Bulldogs. Bunching in the goal square, trying to create some space. The Bulldogs haven't won a second half since round 12. Well, they've got a nice 31-point buffer at the moment.
Looking at that stat will inspire the Kangaroos. The restart, Robbins goes in and gets it. Floats a hand pass over the top. Simpson onto the boot. Centre wing marked by Smith across to West. Hunter roaming free through the centre square. Puts it out in front of Johnson. 60 metres out. Sends it very wide. Murphy set a task. He can't get there.
Now Makepeace onto Johnson, and it means that Archer's gone back onto Murphy. Had that kick been okay from Johnson, Murphy probably having a shot at goal again. Got plenty of room on Glenn Archer, so that's a matchup that I don't think the Bulldogs will mind either.
Lee Colbert starts the third term on the bench. Darcy took clean possession. Makepeace. Stevens driven into the ground. No free kick. Still Stevens battles for it. And now he gets a kick. Missed the first one, I suspect. Off to Makepeace. The Kangaroos have to make their move in this third quarter. Makepeace kicks long. Going back with courage was Sinclair. Sam Rocker. How to dispose of that interesting hand pass, to say the least. Cochrane, a high ball. Bounce. Trapped by West brilliantly. Gets it across to Harrison. And again, the loose man is created. Dimatina on centre wing, although he drops the mark, then loses his footing.
And Simpson came straight at him and made sure the ball went over the boundary line. He says sorry to Dimatina almost, and he got him with a bit of a leg somehow. Dimatina feeling the effects of that now.
We should have dropped the mark. I think that's what Dim is saying. I wouldn't have any of that pain had I taken the simple mark.
Bandy wrestling with Porter. Simpson been quietish. Cochrane, Bulldog player down. Behind play, got on the end of it. Harding takes them all on. Right foot kick. The start the Roos need. Got his first.
Just trying to work out who the player down is as Lee Harding puts through his first. I think it might be Chris Grant in actual fact. And it was just out the corner of my eye. I wasn't quite sure how that came about. So Lee Harding is again given a start. Let's have a look at this if we can pick it up. No, this is the goal. This is Lee Harding. He's got great leg speed and a good finisher. He might be the spark they need down there, the Roos, but that is a very good start. But this is a worry. This is a big worry for the Western Bulldogs at the moment. Their skipper, Chris Grant.
The sick and sorry Chris Grant making his way off the ground. Met heavily by Byron Pickett before half-time, but he looks in considerably more pain now. For the first time in the match, the Kangaroos have kicked 2 goals in a row. It's back to 25 points. Let's go to Doc Larkins.
Yeah, Chris Grant really heavily winded in that contest just before the run onto the north goal. He was involved in getting a handball, guys, and then I think he got besieged, and he just seemed to get a hit around the solar plexus and taking his breath away, but they're just having a further check of him as well.
Some casualties here this afternoon in Tony Liberatore's final game. West losing his footing was Smith. Still got a hand pass away. Free kick advantage paid. Harrison into the pocket. The Roos have the numbers. Motlop, he's paid the mark inside the defensive 50.
Well, you know that the Kangaroos will just keep coming at you. They will continue to come, and they may wear the Bulldogs down. It is, we've got a game on our hands.
Indeed we have. Gary, Motlop, Hahn, Bandy. Over the top, Harrison just found him a little bit of time. Able to weave through traffic. Long ball. Johnson got the sit. Archer just threw himself at the contest in the air. Motlop, quick hands. Makepeace on the end of it. Now the Roos need to find a target from here. He takes them on by foot. Makepeace. Cochrane. I like his use of the handball. Very quick. In they go. Harding went very hard at the ball.
Stevens and Krediuk off the footy.
Free kick will go the Bulldogs' way. Krediuk. They've got loose players on. Krediuk took the wrong option then, I thought. Although he found Murphy, he had Johnson and Brown both free on the opposite side. When you find a target inside forward 50, everything's okay.
As I said, Glenn Archer's opponent, Robert Murphy, and does he find some room and some space? He's got some Brad Johnson-like qualities, this young fellow.
Murphy to get the goal back that Harding just kicked in this third quarter. 35 metres out. There's a look at what he's got. Kick on its way, looks good. It's a goal. Murphy's kicked his first.
First couple of times the Western Bulldogs went forward this quarter, Brian, they went forward long, and that's not the way that they've got this forward line set up. They've gone in short, and they need to be precise. It's what netted them 8 goals in the first quarter, was they were spotting up some targets that were leading onto the footy, and it's set up for the Kangaroos if they just bomb the ball in long into their forward line. So they need to be reminded of exactly how they were so effective. And there's Chris Grant, a very sore and sorry Chris Grant. Some
Western Bulldogs get an important goal. Bandy hooks it behind. Petrie goes to ground at the crucial moment. Pack develops. Stevens, as always, at the bottom of it is Doc Larkins.
Chris Grant lying on the back seat of the interchange bench, guys. Really complaining of headache and blurred vision, and they're just putting a cold towel on his head. So he did take a head hit, obviously, so concussion at the moment for Chris Grant.
Stevens, cleverly done by Savroka. Hunter runs out of room. Croft in support. Back to Hunter. The Bulldogs have numbers at half-back. Burse receives. Wants to come inboard. Runs a long way to half-forward. Too easy on that occasion for Hahn. Alvey in support. Hunt up against the boundary line. Brown comes out, takes a chest mark. Murphy it is. Right foot kick, centering in the direction of Bandy at the back. Here's Brown, who'll kick another one. He's fit, no. He stuck it through. 5 goals to Nathan Brown.
That's the ability of Mark Readings, of course, Brian. He sees it unfold before anyone else. He knew that the goal was coming for Nathan Brown. And he's kicked his 5th. But again, it was young Murphy who was involved in the passage of play, who got the ball to Nathan Brown. And oh, geez,
hit the post,
I
Gary.
wouldn't mind having another look at that, Brian. That is a point.
That's clearly hit the post.
That's goal, umpire. How did he miss that? We all make mistakes, I guess, Brian, don't we?
Well, Nathan Brown has kicked his 5th goal, according to the record books, but clearly a point. Hit the base of the post. We'll have another look later on. Hunter, Smith, West, a high ball. Which way do I go, he says. Hargrave running in support. Ran his full journey, bombed it long. Darcy's there. Darcy couldn't mark. Off hands, Morrell. Just get it out of the danger zone was he thought. Mick Martin's hurt his right shoulder behind play too. He is sore. Keep an eye on that as Simpson sees the ball over the line and out of bounds. So it's all happening here at Colonial Stadium. Digby Morrell coming from the ground. Colbert will come on. There's the Bulldog bench, Doc Larkins.
Yeah, you just might be able to see Chris Grant's legs in the air there, Brian. There, he's quite dizzy, and they're just checking him. He said he's got a sore neck, and we know about his neck history, so a bit of concern to the Bulldogs with Chris at the moment from that knock to the head.
That is a worry, and that's an amazing out of bounds on the full from Anthony Stevens lying on his back.
Somehow got it over the line. West finds Garlick. Drives it towards full forward. Darcy 1 by 2. Couldn't complete it. Simpson off to Teague. Touched off the boot. Alvey sweeps a hand pass. Accommodates Crediuk. McMahon centering kick. Teague. Last line of defence inside the attacking 50 this quarter. 9 to the Western Bulldogs. Just twice for the Kangaroos.
Right idea from Jordan McMahon. He needed to lift the footy a little bit. Just give it a little bit of height. Let a couple of those forwards who are in the area give them a chance to run at it.
Teague. Late change of mind and now a switch of play. Stevens. Kick intended for Motlop. Bounce will be important here. Motlop paddles it close to the line. Pressure came from behind. Murphy left it behind, went back and got it. Been very good, as Gary suggested. Burst in short. The Bulldogs have every answer in this match so far. Garlick has to stand and wait over the top. Cochrane the spoil. Byron Pickett goes for the torpedo. Open forward line. Rocker and Croft. The 2 veterans. Sav gets hold of it. Across to Harding. He loves the goal. 45 metres out. The bounce. Which way will it go? Doesn't come back enough.
Critical time of, I think, Byron Pickett's career. He started and can play some games in the most exciting fashion, but really his output over the past 6 to 8 weeks has been poor. He's only had 4 touches so far in this game.
Time remaining there in the 3rd quarter. 37-point advantage, 36-point advantage for the Western Bulldogs. Hunter just backing out of trouble. Harrison, Croft, Garlick. Spent a little bit of time on the pine today. Johnson running hard, Archer over the back, punch away. Umpire pays the advantage. Or West on his non-preferred side. Gian Siracusa has got an absolute mile here. He gathers, takes Sinclair on. Kick was under enormous pressure from Sinclair, who closed him down well in the end. It was meant for Brown, went over the line.
3 Western Bulldogs inside the attacking 50 by themselves, Gary.
Exactly, Mark. That's the worrying sign of all. Where were the Kangaroo defenders?
So the Bulldogs deep into attack again. Simpson, as he does quite often, comes in from the side. Teague going nowhere. Hard to see them getting back into the match, Gary, from here.
No, they do seem to have all the answers. And look, at the other end of the ground, as I say, Sav Rocker is their only real dangerous forward. He's kicked 3, but he, at the moment, is 1 out in the forward line. Not sure whether he's going to take the maximum benefit of that up that end of the ground. It's just somewhere where Byron Pickett, I've seen in that situation, has been so effective in the past, yet he just seems to be right off the boil at the moment.
Uncontested marks heavily favoured the Bulldogs. Big pack around this football again. Comes out to Motlop and turned to Harding. Takes a couple of bounces before he'd run 10 metres. Cross to Cochrane. And the Kangaroos momentarily out of trouble. After a bounce, Cochrane to an open forward line for the Kangaroos. Hunter, a cruel bounce. Petrie lays off the hand pass. Now Rocker from 50. Over the top to Colbert. Little hand pass missed Clayton. And the Kangaroos stuttering in attack. And the ball swept away by Smith.
Bulldogs, numbers on the outer side. Brown bullets the ball to Elvey. Back to Brown. Around Stevens, through the middle. Elvey got it back to Brown. It wasn't clean, but Brown had time. Great effort by him. Punching the ball on Darcy. There's an example of how the thumb's not helping. Gary tried to mark it on the chest. Didn't extend the hands. Archer, ball out wide. Got a few numbers here now, the Kangaroos. As Watt fell over. 4th season at the club. Shannon Watt. Stevens with a short contested ball, not what you'd like to see. Brown through the middle. Bandy having trouble with the footing. Hargrave, West is waiting. Nothing eventuates except for Robbins trying to shovel it out. Bandy. It's hard football at the moment. The Roos relieve Simpson to Stevens. Archer.
The 250 gamer and his best mate combine to the 50. The Bulldogs with the numbers. Where are the Clumbers? The Kangaroos have the numbers. Cochrane took a while, stepped inside, can straighten up, has a bounce. Cochrane, he tried to take the run. Tried a couple too many moves on that occasion, and Cochrane paid the price.
King in the spates as well. Should have got it on quickly, but take your hat off to Matthew Croft. This is the lesson for young kids. Look at the hips. They watch the footy.
Rewarded with the free kick. Darcy stretches and takes it for the Bulldogs.
Great kick.
It is. Hits Hahn on the chest. The Bulldogs seemingly with the match in their keeping. Early stages of this 3rd quarter. Got Brown loose inside the centre square. Nathan Brown, 5 goals so far this afternoon. Been terrific. Smith. The kick long, looking for Johnson on the lead. Sets him a task. Out very wide. Hargrave provides a shepherd to Johnson. Looks upfield. Bandy. Pitches just in front of him. The big fellow gathers well. Hand pass across. A chance here. Gianciracusa up off the outside of his boot. And he kicks a very clever goal.
Well, there's some of these young Western Bulldog players that have now got 10, 15, 20 games under their belt are starting to look very accomplished AFL footy players. Nice work from Bandy. Summed this up pretty well, Gianciracusa. Got good support. He's got a nice little bit of class about him too. And well, Anthony Stevens wasn't that impressed, to be honest. But when you're 15 goals to 8, you just smile and glance up at that scoreboard. They are a pretty exciting unit.
The Kangaroos were looking for 4 straight wins, and I reckon the 3 straight goals we've seen from the Bulldogs then might be the first nail. Free kick goes the Teague way.
It's been surprising that there's been so much room, if you like, a version of Pagan's paddock up the other end of the ground, but the 2 guys that have been left here have been Petrie and Rocker, which I'm not sure that suits them best. It more suits someone like a Byron Pickett who can turn an opponent inside out. As we have a look at Chris Grant.
Checking the side of the head there as Teague opts for the pass. We'll come back to that in a moment. Gary, Byron Pickett Shallot goal. Missed. Minor score. Dr. Peter Larkins, we notice Chris Grant now sitting up and just looks a little bit better for him.
Yeah, a little bit better, Brian. Look, he's got the headache whether he lies down or sits up. He's actually very seedy, so I wouldn't expect that the Bulldogs are going to risk getting Chris Grant back today because, you know, with the neck history, and he's got a very heavy concussion, and I'm sure he's not going to be right the rest of the day.
Dr. Peter Larkins.
Surprised, Doc, that perhaps they haven't taken him down to the rooms in a darkest place or maybe even the hospital?
Yeah, I guess, look, Dr. Gary Zimmerman's sitting with him, chatting with him all the time the last 10 minutes, so I guess they're just reading that minute by minute, Gary.
Loose ball on centre wing, taken by Johnson. Loves to run. Has a bounce. Dangerous hand pass. Really put his team under pressure there, McMahon, who was driven into the ground and will get the free kick. A little fortunate there for the Western Bulldogs. McMahon spots Johnson running at the 50. Thought about going on. And that call back behind the mark.
Just an example of how Brad Johnson thinks. If you went back to that contest where McMahon got the free kick, Johnson just kept running. He didn't stop and hang around and spectate. He ran to another dangerous position. He's always thinking about ways of getting the footy, and that's what you love about a footballer.
2 goals this afternoon to Brad Johnson, barking the instructions. Is this a set play? Perhaps not. Didn't eventuate. Brilliantly smothered. Brown, though, gets it back to Johnson from 50. Loves a long goal. On the line, it's shepherded through.
Set play for sure. They made hard work of it, Mark, but it got there. They were denied initially. The initial set play was denied by that man, Anthony Stevens, because they tried to free. Look, Brown was supposed to put the screen in. Look at that. That sums up Anthony Stevens. But from that point on, found its way back into the hands of Brad Johnson, and some pretty heavy work in the goal square from Darcy. That puts this contest beyond doubt.
Point lead to the Western Bulldogs. Luke Darcy, some good work in the goal square. The Dogs have kicked 4 in a row now. The Kangaroos need an answer immediately. Out wide, Watt. Smith, the tackler. Watt on all fours. Kick into the hands of Harrison, who marks last line. He's got Kingsley Hunter on out wide. You can go Elvey over the top. They'll draw the loose man here. They've got them lining up through the corridor, but Kingsley Hunter elected to go wide. They had the numbers back inside in Smith and Burse. Of a boundary throw in. There is the Bulldog bench. You see Chris Grant sitting next to young Sam Power. And Grant just being spoken to there by Dr. Gary Zimmerman in the back row. You see Liberatore on the right. Not a healthy bench for the Bulldogs. Darcy, Brown, the no-look handball. Elvey is a great effective user by foot. Didn't get the opportunity then. Anthony Stevens is working incredibly hard in all the little departments of our game.
Yeah, 17 touches for Anthony Stevens, and not mentioning the smothers and the little things he does. Should just also reiterate that Tony Liberatore, the man of the moment, had his nose smashed across his face inside the first 30 seconds and hasn't taken much part in this game.
Throw in Stevens. He's tried his heart out this afternoon. Going nowhere. Sam Power, the brother of Luke, of course, a premiership player with the Brisbane Lions. He's seen some veterans sit alongside him on the bench this afternoon, most of them carrying injuries. David King, a bit sore himself this afternoon, drives a kick to Pickett, who gathers on the bounce. Out wide looking for Watt, missed the target. Smith plays the percentages and sees it over for a boundary throw-in.
All the space down there, as the ball doesn't hit the target, the Bulldogs are just too quick in getting back on the footy. I mean, the likes of West and Murphy will sweep back quicker than Rocker can turn around or Watt can turn around. So I'm sure it's worked that well today.
Bulldogs will be ruining their start to the season, losing the first 5 games. Pickett from a throw-in, should go in and kick the goal. Didn't they need that?
It's just beautiful ruck work in the forward line. We'll have a look at this again, I'm sure. Just set up beautifully, flipped over the back, and well, that's a training drill. Byron Pickett, he's explosive, he can kick goals in a hurry. He is the sort of bloke that could do it for the Kangaroos, but he hasn't looked like it. He hasn't looked dangerous today at all. His last 5 minutes have been a bit busier.
The Byron Pickett goal gets the Kangaroos to within 41 of the Dogs. Burton knocks it to centre forward. Hargrave, this attempted soccer off the ground. Smith, desperation by Hunter, got a fingertip to it, it was enough. Robbins, Byron Pickett bounces off one into another. Cochrane, Archer, an opportunity for 2 in a row for the Roos. They've got it. Here come the Roos.
Hasn't had the greatest of days, Glenn Archer. In fact, fair to say, got a nice old howling in the first half from Brad Johnson. But he's gone down forward now for the Kangaroos. Again, it was Pickett that's been a bit busier. Worked hard to get the footy to him, and that's a nice finish. So they're back within 35 points, and I reckon at three-quarter time, if they could get it under 5 goals, well, they'd still consider themselves in the contest.
They just don't know when to lie down, the Kangaroos. 35 points the margin, 5 minutes left. Third quarter, Garlick clearing kick for the Bulldogs, inside 50. Getting back, Mick Martin couldn't complete the grab, goes back in, dives on it, and the Kangaroos desperate to hold it up here after kicking a couple of goals in succession.
Well, round 2 this year, earlier in the season, at this ground, Kangaroos, Bulldogs, the Roos trailed by 20 points at three-quarter time and came home all over the top of them to win by 13 points. So that would give them some hope.
5 first-half goals on that day to Byron Pickett. He's been quiet this afternoon. The ball to full forward. T goes to ground. Brown plays it cleverly. Hard up against the boundary line. Comes inside. A chance for Garlick. Across the face.
Hit the microphone.
So the Bulldogs holding firm in the dying stages of this third quarter. As you said, Gary, I think the Kangaroos would like to be within perhaps 4 or 5 goals at the last change. Makepeace gets it to King, throws it on the boot indiscriminately. Brilliantly gathered by Hahn. He can finish it off with a goal. The kick didn't match the pickup.
It was a great trap. Very difficult to do that. That was a wonderful trap from Mitchell Hahn. And he wants to take every opportunity that comes his way too, so he'll be disappointed with that. Big 4 minutes in this game.
We've got wrestling on here in a couple of weeks. The WWE, Mitch Hahn, one of the biggest fans down at the Bulldogs, loves his wrestling, and Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold Steve Austin and the Stunner.
Sounds like you're the fan, Brian. You be coming?
Oh, no. I'll be just having a quiet look, Gary, to the sides.
At $500 a ticket.
Teague. It's the kid pressure, you know. Nick High, Burton, in front Bandy. Half-back. Bandy had a very good year with the Western Bulldogs, giving them something they haven't had in that height inside the forward line and goal-kicking ability. Smith kicks long. Hargrave may pay the man in front and does. The Kangaroos have kicked the last 2 of the game. We've played 24 minutes in the third quarter. Simpson, Stevens, Brown. Stevens did well. You can see the new and the old turf there quite clearly. Sinclair from centre wing on the Doug Hawkins wing side of the ground. Takes Darcy on and the bounce. The delivery inside 50 is good to Burton. But Bandy got there. Threw the ball halfway to the boundary line. And then it was helped over with a boundary throw in forward pocket for the Roos.
That just gives you an indication, that statistic right there, of how well the Bulldogs have used the footy today and how hard they've run into space to create some marking targets.
Important chance for the Kangaroos to get a goal here, and conversely, you think, Gary, if they conceded one here, it'd just about be good night.
Well, it was a 33-point turnaround in that round 2 with that statistic I gave you earlier. They were 20 down and ended up winning by 13, so they'd have to do something similar today to get the points.
Coming from the side, Rocker, slapped out of there by Burton. Gian Syracuse, nice hands. Croft taken high. And Anthony Stevens pleading for the free kick, but Matthew Croft was taken around the throat. Over the top, Garlick presents himself. Simon Simon Garlick with 2.5 minutes on the clock. The Western Bulldogs, as I say, lost the first 5 games of the year. They may rue that come round 22. The ball spills to the back. Simpson leads it off to Sinclair. From left half back, loose man. Stevens can take it and run. Open forward line. Colbert is a target opposed to him, Smith. Colbert's not moving all that freely, and Smith, no problems to see it over the line.
Gee, Anthony Stevens up to 19 possessions. And keeps winning the footy. In fact, has been given a lot of latitude this quarter.
Kangaroos have got it in their forward 50. Not long remaining in the quarter. They've kicked 2 in a row. Be a lovely way for them to finish the third quarter. Give themselves a little bit of confidence to start the final quarter. Stevens got on the end of it. Byron Pickett, hopeful. Worked himself in a good position and he marked strongly. Very well done, Byron Pickett, against 3 Bulldog defenders.
Well, this is what he needs to be doing. I think he's got to be used a little closer to goal, because he is a very good one-on-one player. He's got power and speed and strength, and he's been a bit of a goal-kicking drought in recent times, but as I said earlier, we do know he can bang on goals quickly.
This to get it back to 31 points, almost on the 3/4 time break. Byron Pickett has nailed it. Got his second goal. They're back within 31 points, the Roos.
Well, that is the goal that they needed, the one that we've been talking about. Comes by Byron Pickett. Very good mark in the contested situation. It's this midfield that is causing all the trouble for the Kangaroos. They've had 150 touches. The Dogs, the Kangaroos, just 105. So it's like having an extra 2 players in the middle of the ground working for you. They've just got to get some support for Anthony Stevens in there. Give the likes of Pickett some opportunity.
So a couple of goals to Byron Pickett, and the Kangaroos stay in touch. Another goal would be very handy before the last change. And they've got the centre square clearance through Simpson. To full forward, Colbert takes possession. Lays it off to Rocker. Hasn't got much support. Hunter going to ground sad, doesn't help his cause. Prop may have been taken high. Rocker another chance. Burst, and Garlick emerges with the football. Has a bounce. Buys some time. Spots Gian Syracusa. Indirect football by the Dogs on that occasion. Counting down to 3/4 time. Less than a minute on the clock. Cochrane. A fist in there. Comes to Harding. Couldn't trap it. An important ball to be won. Hargrave does well. To full forward. Motlop. Important mark. Runs away. Last chance for the Roos in this third quarter. Kicks to centre half forward. Archer will have to come from the front, but Harrison kept his nerve and took an important mark with 20 seconds remaining.
Harrison at half-back. Hargrave, a little bit of poise in that last foray forward. Kicks this time, looking for Crediok on the lead. Couldn't find him. Power is in there. Johnson, Cochrane did well. Power, there he is. Elusive skills. Had an opportunity to kick his first goal in league football, and unfortunately the siren beat all. And a 31-point 3/4 time lead to the Western Bulldogs after the Kangaroos kicked 3 straight goals from the 20-minute mark to the 27-minute mark of that third quarter. And it's the Bulldogs by 31. 16-9, 105 to the Roos, 11-8.
Welcome back to Colonial Stadium, 3/4 time here, and the lead is 31 points to the Western Bulldogs. Tony Liberatore sitting on the interchange bench the start of the last quarter. Expect him to get a run at some stage to a rousing applause.
Final quarter underway from Colonial. The Kangaroos need the first couple of goals. Simpson sends them forward in the direction of Rocker. Over the top, Croft charging through Dimartina. Comes to the back, Croft with poise to Gian Syracusa. They've worked it out of defence pretty well all day. To the run of Hunter. A couple of bounces. They ran a long way before chipping it over the top to Alvey. Murphy, 65 out. Kicks long. Brown works from behind, comes over the top, didn't complete it. McMahon Snap round his body. It's tight. Just misses to the left.
Nice build up here. Just getting the all clear, the umpire there. Nice build up, good jump from Nathan Brown. And again, Jordan McMahon, who continues to impress.
Makepeace. Plays on. Up the middle of the ground. Looking for Simpson. Just got pushed out of the way by Darcy. Centre half forward. Too far out for Darcy to score. Goes sideways to the running Dimitino. If he can mark, he's on his way to goal. Runs inside 50. Missed. Kicked it out of bounds on the full.
Just let him down today. He's kicking for goal. Paul Dimitino, he's had plenty of the football, plenty of opportunities, but has sprayed them on each occasion.
Bulldog bench there. Sam Power has been used sparingly today. Bandy and Sinclair clash.
Sam Power had the footy on the siren at three-quarter time and threaded through a goal, Brian, which would have been his first, but the siren had just sounded.
Let's keep in mind the Kangaroos have kicked 3 consecutive goals, completing the end of that third quarter, and if they get 4 in a row, it would send the shivers up the spines of Bulldog officials in the coaching box, I would have thought. Through the middle of the ground, Watt. Long ball. Got on the end of it. Harding almost to ground. West has worked well today. Hargrave been impressed with his game as well. Alvey. Smith combining through the important midfield corridor. Kick long. Brown at the back. They flew. Johnson. Free kick will go the Roos' way to Makepeace.
He runs away out of defence. Kicks a long ball just short of centre wing, taken by Morrell. Got support from Colbert. The Kangaroos, they desperately need the first goal of this last quarter. Well, that's an interesting hand pass. Sets Robbins a task. Smith just knocks him out of the contest. Looks for the boundary. Simpson just keeps it in. Comes inboard to Cochrane. Runs away. Drives towards full forward. At the back, Archer. Good judgment. Glenn Archer can shoot on goal from about 45 metres out. Only a slight angle.
Well, the Kangaroos have won 10 last quarters to the Western Bulldogs winning just 7. So they would fancy themselves 10 out of 16 last quarters. They come on pretty strongly. This bloke has gone forward. He's kicked 1 goal already. We know that he will continue to give everything.
So Glenn Archer, such a crucial kick in the context of this match. From 45 out, it's very tight. Missed.
Well, it just would have been the one they wanted, Mark. It would have been a nice little start to get it under. The 30 point is a psychological victory, and we've seen some big come from behinds in the last quarter here.
Alvey, risky kick. Archer almost gobbled that up. Smith worked well at centre-half back. Drawing handball over the top to McMahon, who fell over. Now G and Syracuse has got to do it. Cochrane was just too desperate. Held the ball up, did it well against 3 Bulldog opponents. Just interesting, Gary, that 16 Bulldog players have entered double figures in disposals today and just 7 for the Roos. So a lot of the midfield ball players for the Dogs have got plenty of the ball.
You'd include the half-backs even. Someone like Rowan Smith has had a wonderful afternoon. Almost plays like a midfielder from the half-back flank.
Darcy extremely well out of that ball up. Bandy led to the ball by Martin. Mickey, in only his style, going through. Byron Pickett, the elusive one, slipped over. Crunch time here. Harding. Here go the Roos. Will it be 4 consecutive goals? Colbert lines up. It is! Got his first goal, but the Roos have kicked 4 in a row.
And just a little hand on the head of Matthew Croft as that goal wandered through. It wasn't pretty off the boot, but they all are worth the same. Just a little hint of frustration. And I'll tell you what, I've been a bit critical of Byron Pickett for his first half. About halfway through the third quarter, he started to have an impact on this game. He started to bang into a few bodies, started to win some important contested possessions. And, well, they are back within striking distance. 25 points the margin.
In his 150th game. Lee Colbert gets his first, and Dennis Pagan, his future, again raised in the media this afternoon, ponders this final quarter comeback by the Roos. Burton inside 50, Archer, one hand to it. Hunter, little give to West, to Smith. The Bulldogs run it out of defence. A couple of bounces. Across to West. Started this match brilliantly. To full forward. Over the top, Johnson at the spill. Garlick, open goal. He's got two.
Well, it would appear that in this last quarter that they've been content to bang the ball in deep and long, because Mickey Martin, who's been the biggest player down there, is out centre-half back. So they've got 3 smalls against 3 smalls, which means you can still kick long and get a strong contest. And that's what Johnson provided there. And what happens at worst, you get a drop of the ball, you get the quality crumb. And Garlick has just been an inch away from doing that on a couple of occasions today, and that time he did.
Garlick gets the Dogs 31 points back. Mark Reddings mentioning Coach Dennis Pagan, Gary. In a moment, we'll talk about that. Some developments there today on the future of Dennis Pagan as Clayton goes around Hahn, centering ball. Crediok in front. Rocker did well. Got it to ground. Byron Pickett sums up his options before he has possession. Fed the ball out to Burton. Fell over. Pickett under real pressure. Got around Crediok. Well done. Kick though straight to Smith.
Smith best on ground this bloke, Brian.
Indeed. Got the shepherd from Gian Syracuse. There's a scrap on behind play. Has McMahon on his non-preferred side. A Garlic punch away Sinclair. Boundary line. Now there is a scrap on behind play, and here it is.
Archer and Harrison it was that you saw, Brian.
Just
an interview.
Dennis Pagan.
Yeah, on Triple M apparently that Dennis Pagan was asked straight out, would he be coaching the Kangaroos? He said there's no guarantees of that. The first offer that was made has been rejected. So I guess that's a pretty honest assessment.
Unacceptable.
The first offer? That's what he said, wasn't it?
Obviously.
Yes. Yeah, rejected.
That's about as strong as he's been publicly on the issue. First things first to win this game of football. Stevens, the 250 gamer, kicks inside the 50. Nudge out. Matthew Croft has been penalised. The Rocker will take the free kick.
Big kick. There's been a bit going on down there between Rocker and Croft, and also Archer, who's set the cat amongst the pigeons.
Very lucky.
Pickett's also been pretty physical. Just probably a bit overly aggressive, Brian, that initial contact, I think.
14 free kicks to the Bulldogs this afternoon. The Roos just 6. And Big Sav to keep the Roos in this contest from 50 metres out. A beautiful long thumping kick, and Sav Rocker kicks his 4th of the day.
Been the most dangerous forward for the Kangaroos, Sav Rocker, and has had a good battle with Matthew Croft, but probably honours with him at the moment. There's still plenty of time in this game. It appears almost, boys, that it's a psychological margin. It's 25 points. If they were to get that under 20, I mean, all of a sudden it looks doable. Need to win the footy out of the middle. They need to keep winning possession and belting it down to that fella getting a chance.
Chris Grant, a couple of heavy knocks today with Dr. Zimmerman sitting on the bench, and looks like he won't take any further part in the game. They're within 25 points, the Roos, and we've played 9 minutes of the final quarter. A goal here. Very interesting indeed.
And the question here, Brian, Tony Liberatore on the bench. When does Terry Wallace decide to bring back the veteran for his last hurrah?
Well, I'm thinking any time now. I thought that perhaps he was waiting for a goal or two for the Bulldogs to start the quarter. It's not going to happen. Will he come back at all? Perhaps that's a realistic question. Archer, Croft, Harrison supporting with the soccer. He's got Archer chasing. He brings it back through the goal mouth. Hargrave, the intended target. Now they've got players on down the middle. If West can win this possession, he does. Gives it off to Smith. He runs and he penetrates when he runs. Handball Elvie is a very good finisher. Elvie a bounce inside 50. Bandy couldn't mark. The hold not paid. And the Kangaroos out of defence.
Full bounce for Rawlings. Spider lopes after it. Wants to give it off. In the end, floats a kick to half forward. Lands on the chest of Harding. No one inside the 50 apart from Walker and Klopp. Now they start to flood it. Harding takes on Hargrave. Poor choice of disposal. The hand pass was error and gathered by West. Rebound football. Smith. Couple of bounces. Sends it out wide. Another chance for the Bulldogs. They've got it at the 50. Albie. Left foot kick into the pocket. Where's Brown? Come from behind and has taken another fantastic mark. Nathan Brown's having a day out. 5 goals this afternoon and 5 wonderful goals at that.
Well, I tell you what, 25 points the difference. There's still a lot of time on the clock. Young Lee Harding had to get the ball on into the Byron Pickett area at the other end of the ground. He didn't. Comes up the other end and Nathan Brown kicks his 6th for the afternoon.
Now's the time for Libra, I think.
Well, it's a great result from Nathan Brown. He's had a very good afternoon, and the small forward line that Terry Wallace has gone with has worked very, very well. They got 18 goals on the board, but I tell you what, Lee Harding up the other end ran sideways and ended up spraying the ball wide when Pickett was running into space towards goals. Had they scored then, they would have been under that 20-point barrier. Swings down the other end, and there now it's 31 points again. I think Liver should be warming up somewhere.
Nathan Brown has 6 goals. Time remaining 12 minutes. Not enough, you wouldn't think, for the Roos. Out of the middle, Robbins. Rocker. Beautiful pick up off the laces. Byron Pickett from 50 stretches. Offline and out of bounds. Michael Roberts, boundary side.
Yes, Libert, well, they've still got him down there. They're still...
Has he been warming up, Robbo? Does he look like he's going to come back on at all?
No, he hasn't. He's been sitting there just waiting and treading water, but hopefully he'll get on pretty soon. I know Chris Grant's just about to warm up, so that's a good sign.
Looking at that, I think the injury's probably restricting him from coming back on. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So Smith, because Gary, you're right, he would have warmed up in some way, shape or form if he was intending to come back soon. Hahn has marked it at half-back. And go over the top to West. Ignored that. In the middle to Murphy. Smith's there, though. He goes very wide to Kingsley Hunter, who can scoot along. Kick out in front of Johnson, who's just worked laterally all day across that half-forward line. Garlick. And that, in turn, has really opened it up for the Dogs. Murphy. Good evasive skills. Left foot kick and underground ball. Just missing. Minor score.
Rowan Smith off half-back. I think that's his position, Brian. He's had 21 kicks and 10 handballs for 31 possessions. And you mentioned Brad Johnson. Well, he's only, well, I say only 16 touches, but every one of them has been a quality touch across half-forward.
They've just run the Roos off their legs this afternoon. Simpson's kick. Darcy got hands to it. Stevens taken without the football and high. Liberatore, the good news is he's up and running, and a sense of theatre suggests from Terry Wallace would see him back on the ground in the next few minutes. Anthony Stevens kicks to a pack. At the back, Spider. Couldn't complete the mark. Dimatina across to Burse. Brown, 6 goals today, finds himself at half-back. Goes short, and Darcy on the chest in front of McMartin. Luke Darcy, a milestone man himself today, game number 150. The kick inboard, Dimatina, been busy. Kicks laterally. Murphy has the mark and accelerates now. The Bulldogs pump it forward. Bandy has the sit over the top. Motlop got a hand in there. Where are the Crummers? A chance for Alvey. Bouncing ball. Wobbles its way over the line for a throw-in adjacent to the behind post.
It might be that Terry Wallace will only bring him on in the last couple of minutes because of the fear that perhaps he could get a big smack in the head again. Tony Liberatore I'm talking about, so I think we'll see him before the day's out.
Spider wins the tap. Emerging is Simpson, clearing kick. Darcy in best position, still over the football. Loose ball, well done by Rawlings. Spun out of trouble, kicks towards full forward. Rocker out of position, and Matthew Croft called to play on. Got the hand pass away. Teague meets Brown heavily at the back burst. Wrapped up in a tackle, brilliantly done by Teague. And finally, we'll have a ball up inside the centre square.
both going to be a ball up because both umpires called it at the same time. There's never going to be any doubt about that.
32-point advantage for the Western Bulldogs. And the short kicks there, look at that. The Western Bulldogs using it through the midfield. Rowan Smith, the linking man there. Clearly a win there for the Bulldogs. Infringement in the ruck contest goes against Darcy, and it'll be Burton to get the free kick. He goes inside 50. Archer deep with Harrison. Punch away Harrison was effective. They wait. Hargrave, hands. Hunter. Unorthodox fashion. Getting the ball out wide to Murphy. Boundary line beats all. Sam Power standing at interchange, ready to come on for the Western Bulldogs. There's the Kangaroos bench, David King. And there is the Bulldog box. Phil Marlin on the left. Terry Wallace.
Nodding the head, saying yes. Libba, it's almost time.
And I think you're probably right. Libba still hasn't moved off the bench as Stevens kicks long. Archer and Harrison. Well done again, Harrison. Knocked down Clayton front and centre. In amongst them, Dogs. Got it back to Cochrane by hand. Won't get there. Croft will mark on the line. Immediately plays on. Elvie working on half-back. Motlop the pursuer. Brown under the pump. Had to go at it hard. Did. Got Elvie there. The sell of the dummy. Beautiful skills there from Brown. Missing the target though on that occasion. Bandy Robbins has found Harding out wide, and he marks it half forward.
65 out from goal. Pops it up looking for Rocker. Coming in from the side. Free kick. And emerging from about 2 metres under the turf is Krediuk, the veteran. He earned that one, Gary.
It looked like he gave birth to him there, so Rocker just appeared from under him.
His head was pushed down into the car park. It sits below the ground.
Look at that.
He's a tough hombre, is Stephen Krediuk. Gets it to Alvey. And the Bulldogs, they've got some casualties this afternoon. Rowan Smith is feeling the effects. But I think they'll come away with the 4 points. Alvey signals his intentions and then kicks to a 3-on-1 contest where Bandy was outnumbered. Very good overhead. That's an area of his game which he has improved. Not such a great disposal, although Hahn did particularly well. Beautiful pass. Johnson on the end of it.
Dooms is a dangerous forward line, doesn't it? I mean, young Makepeace he's done okay since being moved on to Brad Johnson, but when you move the ball as quickly as that, and that's why the mark of Bandies is so important. They win possession, it opens up the whole ground for you. But when you lead as well as Johnson
and kick as well as Johnson, it makes life difficult for the opposition. He's got 4 for the day.
Yeah, look, I really like it. Brad Johnson can play in the midfield. We know that. We could run around and probably get the 30-odd touches that a lot of his teammates have got. But I'm not saying midfielders are a dime a dozen, but it's very hard to find good forwards. And he is a good forward. He's got 4 goals on the board. I think he could kick 75 plus if he was played as a permanent forward. And he's taken on Glenn Archer today as well, one of the best in the business. So he's a great player, Brad Johnson.
Brad Johnson 4 and kicked 48 goals last year. Best and fairest in 99. Power the tackler. No movement from Liberatore on the bench just yet.
And that's the chant that you can hear, Brian. It's the Western Bulldogs supporters as one.
Here he comes. Here he comes. He gets up off the bench.
Sets a theatre, Mark Redding's described it as, and he's absolutely right.
On the phone to Terry Wallace, we are going to see the entry of Tony Liberatore to see out the final 10 minutes or so of this game. He's getting best wishes on the bench. He's obviously not well. He's had his nose rearranged in the first minute of the game.
You just shiver up and down the spine stuff, this, isn't it, really? Game well and truly in the bag. They're about to come back on, but we've still got a game in progress.
Rocker, Rawlings, through the middle, Harding with pace. Couple of bounces, Smith. Kick on its way. Great, got his second. Harding. Now Murphy will come off. Liberatore comes on, gets the handshake from Jose Romero. Libba back in the fray.
Well, the game's become a bit of a sideshow, hasn't it, really, to be honest? It's 20 minutes in, I guess. The 32 points of difference, something remarkable would have to happen, but right now all eyes on that man, Tony Liberatore. Badly broken nose, of course. Wanders down to the forward line, an area that he hadn't been too familiar with over the course of his career. And it'd just be poetic justice if the little fella was able to jag a goal in the last 10 minutes of a grand career.
Well, it's got to be said, his final match hasn't been a memorable one in terms of a personal performance, Tony Liberatore, but his side will win, and he's the consummate team player, Tony Liberatore, and he'll enjoy the final 6 minutes of his career. Hunter sees the ball over for a throw-in.
Debuted in 1986, Tony Liberatore, playing 283 games, 17th season, has just been a brilliant player for the Bulldogs. Relentless with the pressure he applies on opponents.
Rawlings from the pack to full forward. Archer and Harrison burst across to Hunter in turn. And get it to Hargrave. Croft. Chain of hand passes ends up with Dimatina. Libba, will he get hold of the football? Beaten to it by Sinclair. Taken without the football, just Sinclair will get it. The crowd roaring for Libba, but that possession won't count.
Yes, Paul Dimatina did his level best to get his old mate a little touch there.
Sinclair wheels onto his left boot, lobs it to full forward. Petrie in best position, charging through Bandy, provided a contest, and we've got a ball up.
It's interesting to see whether Jess Sinclair, Tony Liberatore's direct opponent, has a sense of theatre and will allow him to get a piece of the action. I think Dennis Pagan would say not.
No, very unlikely. Harding looking to kick a late goal for the Kangaroos. Sam Power into the play, sweeps a hand pass into the path of Hargrave, back to Albie. And the Bulldogs runners have been superb this afternoon. Albie looks for the line and rugby style sees it over.
Half forward for the Bulldogs in Liberatore territory. Hargraves comes off. Gian Syracuse are back on. Been a great win today for the Dogs. The Roos were looking for their 4th straight win on the march to yet another final series, and it may have been halted here by the Bulldogs. They have 9 wins for the year, the Kangaroos. They're going to need 12 and probably 13 to make it.
They've dominated this quarter, Brian. They've had 10 more clearances. They've been inside 50 on 8 more occasions, but with less disposals, haven't been able to reflect it all on the scoreboard at the moment.
No, just 3 goals apiece in this last quarter, Gary. And we'll have another ball up. Scotty West, very significant in and around the middle. Set the Bulldogs alight in the first quarter. Dimatina, Rawlings, Cochrane. The tackle by Gian Syracuse forces the turnover. Smith, Liberatore, the blocker, allowed burst to mark. Handball from Mitch Hahn. Now he can give it inside to Liberatore. What a fairy tale! She's missed. Mitch Hahn says, well done anyway. Imagine if he'd nailed that.
Nicely worked from Mitch Hahn. He did his best.
Oh, yes, see, the WWE follower of Mitch Hahn has got a sense of theatre. Mark Reddings.
There's still a few minutes remaining. Maybe they can conjure something for Libba. A second chance, perhaps. Smith. Darcy's loose. On centre wing, goes to Dimatina initially. Now he goes to the ruckman. Where's Libba? At the 50. All eyes on Tony Liberatore. I'm sure even Kangaroo supporters wouldn't begrudge him a late goal. West over the top. Gets it back. Across down to Gian Syracuse. Has to go for goal himself. And that one's for Libba anyway.
Look, I don't think that the Western Bulldogs, mathematically, they can still make the final 8, I think, Brian, but it's going to be a long stretch. And if they were not to make the final 8, I think there would be some teams inside the top 8 that would breathe a sigh of relief, because they play a brand of footy and are playing a brand of football that come the warmer months of September on the big grounds with the good weather, I think could do a hell of a lot of damage. And these young blokes are just getting better and better each week. I think this is a side very much on the move, the Bulldogs.
2 goals to Daniel Gian Syracuse. 3 minutes left in the career of Tony Liberatore. There's his great mate in Paul Dimatina. Sam Power hasn't looked out of his depth in this game. Only had a couple of touches, but he's been clean. Long ball forward. Liberatore in amongst it, down low, handball out. LV Burst will go. Lining up now the Bulldogs. Burst celebrating. Make no mistake about it. This last few minutes is all about that man there.
Yeah, it's a strange feeling, isn't it? Everything Other than a Liberatore touch at the moment, it's a bit anticlimactic, but he was involved in that. He did get the handball out. Thought the umpire could have pulled a free kick out of that. But there's the handball from Libba, and eventually found its way in the hands of Shane Burns, who's been pretty good today.
Typical of him, though. He's always giving to others, Libba.
Yeah, no question about that. I don't know whether Shane's quite at that stage just yet, but, you know.
Western Bulldogs have dominated this match from the outset, and we'll run out deserved winners here this afternoon as the chant for Libba goes around the stadium. Robbins out of the centre. Rocker, Croft. The siege was caught high, advantage paid. Crediuk switches it wide to Dimittina, who's so often this afternoon found space. Power to Darcy, just forward of centre wing. A long ball. Teague is there. Motlop at the spill across to Simpson, in turn to Stevens. And the 250 gamer, a big day for him. Unfortunately, he'll walk off on a losing side. Sav, a couple of kicks out from goal. Not much to go to. Hunter and Petrie. Comes to Petrie. Snap round his body. Which way will this bounce? Through for a goal. He's got 3. Well played, big man.
Oh, it's a great shot. I hope we got the shot of Scott West with Drew Petrie after he kicked that goal. I'm sure we will have. Just have a look at this. No words need to be spoken here. No, we didn't. No, Scotty West is just standing next to him and looked up at him just to say, did you really kick that?
Now, Libba has removed all bandages just to look good for the photo opportunities.
Big photo opportunities about to present themselves, and I don't blame the little fella.
Back in the middle, just under 2 minutes remaining. 39-point lead for the Western Bulldogs. They'll go on and win the game, obviously. Gin Syracuse, Dimittina has been very effective over the last 3 weeks for the Bulldogs. Smith, Gary believes probably the Bulldogs' best today. West, short ball, Gin Syracuse. Sinclair, good punch away, Pickett. Gave them moments of hope throughout the game. Cochrane to centre half forward, direct. Rocker has looked dangerous all day. Power, good hands under enormous pressure. Hunter, back over the head, found Croft. Been impressed with just the 3 or 4 touches that Sam Power has had. Crediuk, one of Liberatore's great mates, and has just about played the game as long as Libba. A minute to go in his career, and Liberatore is going to get it from his great mate. There it is.
Have a shot, Libba.
Look at the Bulldog faithful. Libba with perhaps his last kick ever in AFL football. Bandy, snap. Just the minor score there for Daniel Bandy.
Inside the last minute of the great career of one Tony Liberatore, and what a great way to go out. Not from a personal point of view, but it's never been about individual highlights for that man, which is ironic given the number of awards that he's won.
Anthony Stevens gets it to Motlop. Just on 30 seconds remaining. Simpson just backward of the centre wing. Pops it over the top. Sinclair. Hunter will come late. Jess Sinclair, chance for a late consolation goal for the Kangaroos. Sam Rocker, best position, goes up and takes a regulation mark.
5 goals would be a very good return for Sav Rocker, who has worked really hard all day. He and Drew Petrie.
Well, Libba's not going to get another touch, Gary, because the clock is going to run down.
Siren sounds. Sav Rocker will kick after the siren, but it matters naught because Tony Liberatore will be the centre of attention after this kick. Rocker kicks 5, but hail Tony Liberatore, a wonderful career. He ends up on a winning side. And the Bulldogs players celebrate one of their true champions. 21-13, 139, defeating the Kangaroos at 16-9, 105. And they'll sing this song with gusto.
They will indeed, Mark. And I suggest you just sit yourself back and don't leave, because Friday night it was a bit of a buzz and the Richmond Footy Club weren't able to win, of course, but this has been a terrific victory. And this man has been a wonderful player.
His great mates around him, Liver. What a tremendous send-off. This was your grand final.
It was my grand final. Oh, the supporters have been fantastic. They had a great look today. You couldn't get a kick, but anyway, the boys were just brilliant today. It's a really good win.
He kept you off the ground. That whack on the snout is going to, you're going to remember that, aren't you?
Struggled a bit early on, but that's footy, you know.
When you ran on, everyone stood as one. The fans were here. A lot of Bulldog fans. Must have been a tremendous thrill when you ran back onto the ground.
It was actually, you know, like just to play in front of even the North Melbourne when I first started in the under-19. So it's been a great day.
And what a tremendous way to end a career with a big win like that.
Well, that's what footy's about. It's about winning, not losing. So I'm just glad that we won.
Well done, Liver. Fantastic career.
Yes, well done, Michael Roberts. And I'll tell you what, that nose brings tears to your eyes in more ways than one. It looks sore. We've got a terrific scene unfolding out here. The Kangaroos players have remained out on the ground along with the Western Bulldogs team, and they're making a guard of honour for the little champion. And at the end of that will be the St Bernard's under-10 footy side that Liver coaches. And this is a moment that this man won't forget, not too many other people will. A terrific tribute from both teams and a sign of respect. He has been in the news on occasions. Our cameraman getting excited down there for things that perhaps he wouldn't want to look back on with too much joy, but at the end of the day, this is a magnificent career. And that team there are the St Bernard's under-10s, Brian, and that's a pretty good mentor. And